do not be anxious about anything. Way easier said than done. Way easier, written out than practice. But he gives us some good practice.
Recipe for peace.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't just say, don't worry about anything.
Right.
He tells you what to do.
And welcome.
What's up,
back,
everybody?
Not Just Sunday Podcast, Season 2, Episode 7.
7.
The number.
That's a good number.
It's a very godly number, right?
Is it?
The number of completion or something like that.
Yeah, we
right?
should do one on that. Why is 7 a good number? And 666 is bad.
The day of creation.
How about it?
7 days. We
Things
rested
are
on the
complete.
7th, so technically it was 6.
Days of creation, but then 7 days of the week. Right? To in that week to rest. There was an intentional
in our calendar.
intentionality
Yeah.
behind the 7th day. The 7th day was not nothing.
The Sabbath day. So 7. He completed everything. So
7,
rest was a
okay.
part of the thing that he created.
And it was good.
And it was good. Saw that it was good. So here we are.
And rest is also actually very important to our topic today.
Actually,
it really is.
There you go. What is
Sleep matters, rest matters. Maybe we should just start there.
Segue. It's good for our brain.
It is
good for our brain. So, Is It Okay? Is a series that we've been in during season 2, tackling a bunch of topics. It's been very good.
Yeah.
I think there's been a lot of interesting points, having to dig a little bit.
Going to
but
the
it's just-
Google.
it's questions that we Googled, hey, top questions that people are asking, that specifically maybe Christians are asking, and we've gotten here. So today's is an interesting topic. I think a very kind of like buzzworthy question.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of talk around mental health, disorders, the difference. What does the Bible have to say on things like anxiety, depression, and various types of things. So today the question is it okay if I experience anxiety and or depression?
If I experience it.
Right.
That's the question. If I experience it.
Yes.
So is that okay?
And assuming that it's coming again from a believer's lens of like, hey, I'm with God, I've accepted him, I'm walking with him, living for him, and I'm still experiencing anxiety and depression. Is there something wrong with me?
Or am I sinning?
Yeah.
Is it a sin? I mean, I've
Is
heard
it
that.
sinful
along the
that
way.
I'm
Is it
that I'm
sinful
experiencing
to be
these
anxious?
things? Yeah.
Because we're given a command in Scripture, do not be anxious for anything.
Right.
So is it then therefore a command and then there is sin if I experience
Like if I am anxious about anything, I'm sinning.
So what do you think? Is it wrong? Is it okay to experience anxiety, depression, to feel it, to stay in it? Like where are we going?
Yeah, I mean, 100% it's okay that you feel it. I don't think it's great if you stay in it, obviously. But I think for me, I mean, I don't know. Have you ever been to counseling?
No.
Or done like any kind of like counseling?
I've done like a program.
Program.
Like a thing that you go through, but it's not like a one-on-one with a person.
Okay.
Like, no.
So
I'm not opposed.
So I've been through it. I've been
Yeah.
through it. I've been through counseling, at least a few sessions. And one of the first sessions I remember him, because I was talking about being super anxious and depressed, like feelings like that. And one of the best things I think that kind of lifted the lid for me was that he's like, hey, all of that is normal.
Yeah.
Like it's built into us to have anxiety responses, to even get low at times as a human.
And why?
I mean, just our response, right? Like anxiety keeps us from doing dangerous things. So there's parts of it there's functional anxiety, and then there's what he called debilitating, right? He was like, hey, so there's a kind of a spectrum of anxiety, and he's like, functional anxiety is very good for us. Like, hey, I know that stove is hot. I probably shouldn't touch it. And when you begin to feel the heat, something in you is like, hey, I want to stay away from. There's an anxiety there. Is hey, I want to stay away from the hot stove. Like I don't want to just put my hand on it.
It protects you.
Protection. Yeah. It keeps us from doing dangerous things. It keeps us kind of out of trouble a little bit. That anxiety in us, like, hey, I'm very anxious right now about what's going to happen next, and maybe I'm not doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to step into like that is something that God has built into us.
Anxiety is the thing that causes you to do it, or causes you not to do things again.
Right.
Right.
It's how we learn a lot. I mean, we get anxious for a lot of things too. Like I was anxious before we had kids. I was like, man, am I going to be a good dad? Am I going to do this? Like the whole birthing process terrified me.
But to some of that, it drives you, right?
Right. There's
and
a
anxiety,
piece of it.
or even a sadness and depression. We talked about. I don't remember what we were talking about. What we were talking about. Is it okay to be angry?
Yeah.
And a lot of
And
anger
grief
comes
and,
from grief comes from is sad man.
the whole sad
and
mad.
yeah,
The
sad
whole,
man from home.
They probably went and watched the movie after that. Or
I hope you did.
at least
It's a good
YouTube
movie.
the clip.
Yeah, yeah. And I've been thinking about this lately about how do you channel those things into a positive way,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I know that's not what we're talking about. Is it okay? But I think it's okay and it's good. Like to what you're saying, to experience anxiety and depression. We're built that way.
Yeah.
For our good, I believe.
For sure.
And because that anxiety to drive me to be a good father is going to drive me to a place where I prepare.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
When you don't use it and it just puddles up, I think that's where it becomes debilitating. It's because and I'm not saying it's not okay to ever be there. I'm not saying I'm not going that far.
Mm-hmm.
But I think when I see it as like a pool of whatever it is, anxiety, depression, and then if you don't build a channel to let that stuff out and use it to drive you in a positive direction, it can wreck you.
I mean, 100%.
Yeah.
And especially I think in the day and age that we live in, where it's a lot about like, well, my anxiety, I need to like be friends with it and coax it and feed it, and like it's just a whole thing about like, hey, we're super conscious now of these things.
Use it up.
Anxiety, of depression, of my mental health. Now we have mental health days, and like there's a whole culture around our brain and caring for it. Knowing that all this stuff happens naturally. And so if it happens naturally, like God has ordained pieces of it, has put it in us to ride, to use. And I think a lot of that is right. Like anxiety is produced by fears. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I'm a little bit fearful that I won't be a good dad, that I want to do these things. And there can be a lot of great motivation. They say like fear is the greatest motivator, right? And like it pushes us. It pushes us to things. It pushes us away from things. It keeps us in a zone. But anyway, I think there was a big piece of it when I sat in my first counseling session, and I was feeling like I was going crazy because I had this, and I had Googled things and listened to all these podcasts, like how I overcome my anxiety and like fight your anxiety, and like if you're depressed, you need help and all this kind of stuff. And for him to just sit here and say, "Hey, man, it's normal, but let's get some tools now that we've identified it, now that we're here." Let's leverage it for good. Like let's let it be godly grief, not worldly grief. And like it was just good. It was just a good reminder. So if you're out there right now just dealing with it and you're like, man, it's so much. It's anxiety, it's depression, you feel like it's debilitating.
And if you carry the mindset that it's wrong or that I'm sinning,
it's sinful, it's like no,
separating me from God, that it can drive you further in the wrong direction.
Right.
To have a mind that it's not okay for me to experience these things.
Yes. 100%.
It'll drive you further in the wrong direction. I think if you keep that mindset on.
Well, then you start feeling like you're broken and like that. Oh, because I am fearful or I have this thing that I'm wrong. I don't have enough faith. Right. Mm-hmm. We always pit fear and faith against each other, and so if I have anxiety and it's driven by fear, then I just don't have faith. And like it's not the same.
Like with anger and with other things, is it okay? We're not asking, is it okay to be happy, right?
Yeah, nobody's asking
that. But you think about that. Is it okay to be angry? What is our response to that? Yeah. But you don't let that anger get to a place where it causes you to sin.
Right.
Right? And then I think this might be similar in that is it okay to experience anxiety, depression? Like maybe take your fatherhood example and go to the other side. Well, now you are a dad and you messed up. Yeah. You whooped the wrong child, or
God forbid,
or did something that you'll never live down, or whatever, and now you have, and you do experience depression, but you can lead that to say, okay, from that moment, how do I build a channel to let that be used in the future to be, I won't say better, but how can I use that to turn it around? So I think that could be the answer to the question, right? Is is it okay? Yeah. But you can't let it go to a point where where it controls you, where you are all consumed.
That's the part I think.
It all the time. But with this one, and I think anger is similar. It's not as easy as maybe. I don't know. I think with this one, it's like a prayer a day keeps the devil away kind of thing. And but it's not just as easy as, okay, well, don't be anxious anymore.
Right.
Like you said, you showed up in the time of trouble and you had somebody sit across the room from you and give you tools.
Yeah.
We do have tools in the Bible, but 100%. I'm saying clinically proven tools that say, hey, your mind is programmed.
Right.
One of the things that stuck with me is like your mind is programmed to be, they call it monkey mind, right?
Monkey mind.
Monkey mind, where your mind is constantly having thoughts, and it's over here and it's over there, and it's worried about yesterday and worried about tomorrow and worried about, what am I going to do here, there, and everywhere? And then you can apply that in so many ways. And then if you don't ever take a minute to be present here,
that's the thing,
and mindful of why are my thoughts going back there? Why are my thoughts going over here?
Mm-hmm.
And to take a minute to speak truth into this moment, because that stuff, like using your father example, it causes it. Like if you stay over there in the future, like what's going to be, what's going to happen. It's like you get so worked up about
what could go wrong, what could happen. And all of that is all hypothetical. And so, I mean,
and you got to meet the truth in that moment to say, hey,
well, truth is the anti-venom for anxiety, right? Like it is. Like when anxiety is off the chain, you got to find the horizon, right?
And even if the truth is not positive, so we're not saying you just got to go look.
You just
got to
find
truth. Things. You got to find what's true.
You got to find something absolute to put your feet on, because anxiety literally is just believing a lie that your brain has produced, right? It's
or a hypothetical. It might not be a lie, but it could be hypothetical.
Well, I mean, hypothetical, right? Like the idea of like, we'll stick with the father thing. Like I will be a bad father because I don't know. I can't even. Like I'm out of shape, right? And I can't run with my kids. I'm a terrible father. Like, okay,
how do I fix that? Well,
that's not true.
Like every time I eat a Dorito,
I had a bad dad, and so now I can't be a good dad. Like that's hypothetical. It's not true. It's not real. But you've created this hypothetical situation where, like, because of your dad was maybe not the best, or you have all these things now that you're thinking about, you're like, now I will just be a bad dad. Like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
And this sense of impending doom, like something bad is going to happen.
And it's all hypothetical because it's not reality.
Right.
Like in the middle of, if you're present with your children, you're intentional with your children, like that whole experience is completely different. Like, but we build these webs of like all of these things that just scare us that are not necessarily real.
To apply truth and faith.
Right.
Right? Because sometimes truth is not helpful without faith to say, okay, the truth is it's not looking good, right? But there's faith to believe that God will get me through this thing, or I will come out on the other side in some positive regard or whatever.
Yeah, it's the whole remain hopeful. Faith over fear conversation and those type of things, which is why the Bible talks a lot. And Jesus spent a lot of time just talking about our mind, right?
Yeah.
Like never left the mind out. And then Paul continues with that. We see in the Old Testament, we see in the New Testament. I think because God knows how He made us.
Yeah,
He knows the importance of the between the ears and what happens in our mind can become a reality, and some of it can even supersede the things that we know in our heart.
Yeah,
and so when Jesus is even saying like, "Hey, know the truth, and the truth will set you free." Well, what does it set you free from? One, obviously, it sets you free from sin because you understand that Jesus is who He says He is. But I think there's multiple layers to that verse. Mm-hmm. Of like, even in our anxiety and in our depression, in our daily lives, like, hey, you have to find the truth because the lies will enslave you to this anxious fear. And then once you're entrapped in the anxious fear, man, the enemy has all kind of control over you in this hypothetical situation that has now created in your mind.
Yeah.
And Paul's reiterating that right in Romans 12, where he's like, hey man, look, be renewed in your mind and like knowing and like, that do not be conformed to the things of this world. Mm-hmm. What does the world want to do? It wants to tell you that all of these things are wrong with you. All these things are bad. And God is like, no. I've made these things. And I know that they're going to come. But He also modeled the idea of getting away.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, imagine Jesus's like being fully human and saying that he totally experienced the human condition. He knew what was coming. Yeah. Can you imagine like if I knew I was going to die at a certain time, in the way that I was going to die, the anxiety that I would have as that got closer and closer and closer, which again, I think for me, obviously just from my own personal journey, having gone through these things, and like I ride depression pretty often, and like this is a part of me now. But knowing like that has changed the whole way that I look at the garden before the cross. Dude is praying to the point of bloodshed. You don't think he had some kind of thing in him that was making him pursue that hard?
And even knowing, that's the evidence of it, knowing what God wanted and where it was going to go.
He knew the truth.
He said, let this pass from me. If there's any other way.
Was still wrestling with it.
Right.
And yet,
but what did he do with it?
We shouldn't have any of that.
I think he took that anxiety and he channeled it into the will of the Father.
Right.
No matter what. Nevertheless, here we go.
Yeah.
And he went.
Yeah.
And he did the thing.
And did it.
Yeah.
And did it. And, you know, it's those type of things. And once you walk through it, like you begin to look at scripture and things that he says, and he's speaking to it clearly.
So there's a couple things to it that, one, I can't leave this without saying sanctioned from the church.
Mm-hmm.
If you have an issue, go talk to somebody.
Yes.
Find somebody.
Yeah.
Let them know. Do not carry your stuff alone.
Part of it is getting it out, right?
And because the church has neglected, I think, for a long time, over decades. So I'm not saying like Steel Creek or like the church today. I'm saying just over a long time has neglected the physical and the spiritual component of these two things, of anxiety and depression, right? That there's stuff that physiologically our body needs, right? That when you neglect those things, and it's just a matter of a good education and then applied practice, right?
Yeah.
So there's some of those things, and there are things with your mind, with your spirit, that you should be addressing too. So you go find somebody, I would say Christian, to speak to, who has done this, 1,000 times before with other people. There's nothing taboo about it. This is normal, right? That people experience these things, and let's, turn the page, find a new day, talk to somebody. Put it out there.
Yeah. There's
go ahead.
I mean, just think two pieces of that are really important as we're just talking about. I mean, one, like the whole like functional versus like debilitating. You gotta be able to process where you're at. Like, man, if you can't function, if you like, find help, find somebody.
Because it can feel like you got thrown into a cave, and the only way out is a hole at the top, and there are no walls to climb.
Right.
Right. Like, I can't. There are places you can get to where it's like, it feels impossible that I will ever reach the top again. And there's no way to do it.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So I'm gonna give you a hot take, and then you have to respond.
Okay. Let's go.
It's like, and I'm don't hear what I'm not saying when I say this, but there is a piece of me that believes that we are in this hyper counseling era where, like, hey, the only person I can trust with my mess is a paid professional. Because biblical community has taken such a decline that we don't trust one another. And so when I say a hot statement like, hey, I believe that there is so much counseling because biblical community doesn't exist as much anymore, where we can just sit and be like, bro, I'm struggling. I'm in a dark place. Can you just listen to me, get this out, and then pray for me? Because a lot of counseling, like my experience, was I sat there and I unraveled myself. there was a couple questions, and then God used that. But to say like, hey, we're in this era right now where like, man, everybody's got a counselor, everybody needs this thing, like very hypersensitive, which I think is very good, very healthy. But to say, hey, we're also here because community has ceased to be what it needs to be with people. And so when you bring that up, like, and that was a huge thing, even in scripture, was just like, hey, find people. Iron sharpens iron. We need community. We need true community that we trust to sit down and be like, yo, this day is terrible. All this stuff is very dark. It's very heavy. I just need you to be right here with me. And then be able to wake up the next day. And it's a new mercy and it's a new thing.
And speak truth that I can't see.
But now we feel like the only people we can trust are paid professionals. And we have to act like we're okay in every other arena.
I think there's at least two ways to think about this. One is society in general. So forget the church for a second, because the church does exist in current day society, whether we love that, whether we don't. But
yeah,
culture,
we're in it.
Culture affects.
We live here.
The church should be affecting culture. So in that, I'm just saying, I think you're going to see, by and large, in society, isolation on the rise. That people don't know how. I mean, take it back to COVID and take it to our hard swing to electronic devices.
Devised purpose.
How do I find community? And so I don't want to. I'm not digging at, throwing arrows at social media.
What we're not saying.
Right. I'm not digging on social media and all that stuff, because I also think that, I liken it to AI. They're trying their very best to keep kids off of AI, to write their 10-page papers and put it through. And I'm like, you know what? Why don't you just teach them how to use it really well to produce something that, is even better than their 10-page paper? So I do think, while social media and our hard swing to electronic devices is a detriment to community, you can also find community that you trust in those same spaces. You just have to do it in a positive way, right? Because you could also find readily available, really dark communities where you can go and hide.
The echo chambers.
So there is something to be said for physical community with people in a home, in a church, that supersedes, in my opinion, electronic community, right? Whatever that is. But we can all get there, at least with that. I remember doing like Zoom with my youth kids and with the church over COVID. And it was good. It still provided community, but it's just not the same. It's just not the same. So speaking of that too, I do see what you're talking about in most, if not all churches, that there's a swing over a long period of time again, that church became a big meeting place one day a week. That's what we do.
Right.
And then we say,
and you bring your best, right? I bring my best. I dress my best. I look. I got it together when we're together.
But we are private people. We live in single homes. Like, we don't live with multiple families.
Our culture has done it.
It has, and we've divided, and to the point, like we talked about this before, like just as brothers, fellow staff members, whatever, friends that we live in the same community pretty much. Even then, my mind is like, all right, I'll just say it. I was cutting a tree. Cutting a tree.
Yeah. Go ahead and let in
more light into my garden for the springtime. And I knew I could use help, but you have this mind like, well, I don't want to bother somebody. I don't want to take away from their day to do. So there's a little pride in that too.
And a little anxiety to ask.
Yeah, right? To ask.
Like, oh my gosh, I'm going to ask him to come help me cut this tree down. Well, he's going to think I'm stupid.
Like, that thing was bent in like a really weird way though, where there's just no, anyway. So, long story short, I knocked the gutter off of the neighbor's house.
You didn't have no help.
To pay for it. and to that point, now I can cut a tree. I cut 3 trees that day. Only one hit the neighbor's house. Right? So, but that's the thing, is I think there's something to that. Like, we're Christian people and love one another. And still have that pause to ask for help.
Right.
And maybe I'm not speaking for everybody, but for me.
Yeah.
So there's something in our pride that says either maybe I can do it by myself, or I'm letting that other person speak. I'm speaking for the other person to say, well, I don't want to inconvenience them on a. But yourself,
for sure.
But if I know though, if I called, that they would do it, and then they would do it for me, I would do it for them.
Yeah.
So there's something to that when you need help, you got to ask. And when you need community, you have to seek it. You have to search for it. You have to actually show up and do the work in community to let that guard down and not to be such a private person, right?
Yeah.
To say, okay, these are people that I feel I can trust.
Yeah.
But we talked about this earlier too, about is it okay to not come to church or whatever? And we talked about that, but that when you feel needs from a church community, remember that you are also a member who brings.
You're bringing something.
Yeah, that you're bringing something that fulfills other people's needs too. So that is part of it. I do agree that you might have less counseling sessions right?
If true community and trust like really existed, where you could call somebody like, I mean, maybe the Catholics have something, right? Confessional. Like I don't. I mean, I'm not gonna like be like, hey, I believe in all of it, but like
in our text,
the idea of
confess your faults to one another.
And how do you free yourself from something that is eating you up? Is that you confess, and so it's kind of what we do when we go to a lot of counseling sessions.
Yeah.
Now, again, don't hear what I'm not saying. Mm-hmm. There are definitely people who have chemical imbalances that cannot control it. I'm saying a lot of this, a lot of self-diagnosis, a lot of people who walk through just hard things, grief. Like we need people in our lives, but we also need God. And I think you alluded to this earlier about, man, we're just not still enough to hear His presence. And was talking with a friend recently who's just like, man, I just feel so like heightened. There's a lot of just fear, a lot of things happen in my life, and just kind of challenged him as I was challenged. A lot of the script, I mean, a lot of the verses, even like Psalms, like, hey man, meditate on the Word, like spend time with Him, get away, be still, and know how. But it's not a quick thing. Like I can't just stop for 2 seconds and get to the end of my thoughts. But I have to spend enough time, especially when I'm anxious or when I'm high, I'm riding high, and there's a lot of things coming at me, for us to pursue God. Now, that takes time. Meditation takes time. Being still and knowing that God is in control takes time. And it takes enough time that I have to let all my thoughts run. Yeah. Until I get to the end. Mm-hmm. And the end of my thoughts can then be the beginning of His. Yeah. And when we're in those zones, like we just don't want to spend enough time for us to quiet ourselves and just let it roll. Like your brain is going to do what it's going to do, but eventually it will stop. Yeah. If you stop feeding the thoughts, eventually it will get to the end of it. Yeah. And you can get to the beginning of a deeper breath. Yeah. And be like, okay.
I think that goes to the other side, the practices. Your diet matters.
A lot, right?
Sleep matters.
When we're talking about a lot of these things, like it's amazing how they kind of build on one another. Community matters, like going to church matters, like what you're doing with your body, inside, outside of marriage matters, like the things that are happening in there.
That's a personal thing that you would be surprised at the power of meditation, you know? Yeah. Just like a
little bit undertaught.
Yeah. And I'm not talking like, okay, don't hear what I'm not saying. Like the yoga, there's transcendental meditation.
Yeah, let's not do all that.
Not knocking anybody, not knocking any of those, whatever. I'm saying for where you carry a Christian attitude into meditation, with God's Word, and you listen to what that's like 20 minutes a day, I think it's transformative.
100%. I know if you can stop for 20 minutes a day, your life will change.
But if you've got 30 minutes on your lunch hour, or you've got an hour for your lunch, or you just got to be disciplined in saying no. Everything else gets shut off for a minute because I got to take care of me. That's part of the thing is like you gotta charge your phone too, right? Yeah, you gotta do the thing and be about it. And so it helps when those thoughts are running. There's just a couple practices, that I've seen. I think in my own mind, I used to lay down before I knew anything about any of this, and I don't know, thoughts would come, and then I wouldn't be able to sleep. Yeah. Until I learned how to categorize and like deal with those things in the moment. Like, okay, let it come up. I used to picture it like a bubble. Yeah. I let it rise and pop that thing. But with, okay, we're going to deal with that tomorrow. And then there's some sort of closure, and then it goes. The next one comes up. Boom. There's some sort of closure, and it goes. And you're kind of filing things away. And can I deal with this right now? Is this something that if I perpetually think about it, is it going to change anything? Is there? So anyway, that's been really good for me. And there's tools out there. There's people that can guide you through.
For sure.
Another one was you're there, your eyes are closed, walking through a forest. You come to a meadow, you sit by a tree, and then your thoughts are like leaves that fall from the tree. They hit the river, and then you watch them go on, and then you wait for another thought, and then it hits and then it goes on. And not everybody, I guess, deals with that. Yeah. But I probably my whole adult life, that thoughts are there and they're racing before bed. And then if I'm not careful, it'll kill my sleep.
Yeah.
And so anyway, that's real stuff to watch your diet, watch exercise,
all of it,
watch your meditation, and then
all that matters.
And then keep it moving. So,
all of it matters.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast today on just your body and your temple, kind of preparing for where we're going later. Yeah. And it's interesting how all these pieces are coming together. Yeah. But on this one in particular with our mind, I mean, if we're not protecting it, we're always putting inputs in and never allowing it to process and never allowing it to, because we have cell phones, like we have all these, and they talk a lot about dopamine hits and just the idea, like, and we get them all the time, and then our brain eventually becomes numb to them. So then we need more and we need more and we need more, and then the hit doesn't count anymore. Like your brain is like, okay, that's not enough. Like you're not waking me up now. This doesn't feel good. And then we get into a numb state, which a lot of us would probably say, hey, that's what depression feels like. That's what. There's no drive, there's no passion to do the thing anymore, because we have all these dopamine hits all the time. It's good food, it's my cell phone, it's a like, it's a this, it's what I'm watching on TV, and then we become numb to it, that we can't produce it anymore, and then that kind of creates this depression, and a lot of it is from just a lack of discipline. Yeah. Like I'm eating sugary stuff all the time. I'm not sleeping. I'm on my phone 24/7, getting dopamine hit, all these hits, and so it comes from a lack of discipline.
You heard of dopamine fast? That's a big thing.
That's like a buzzword right now. Like dopamine, like fasting from dopamine. Whether you can do that or not is actually like scientifically kind of questioned. Whether it like works
saying,
or
I'm
like
not going to get any dopamine.
It's more of a discipline thing.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like to watch. Okay. Are there things that are giving me a dopamine hit because I'm on my phone and I see that? Yeah. And maybe I'm playing the game and I win a level and then I win a level and then, or I don't know. Like you got to watch those things. That okay, I'm gonna put those things down for a minute. Yeah. Or maybe I'm gonna throw sugar out the window for a week. Or, you know,
kind of reset. Like, let me. But it's
maybe that's
the discipline, word. Right? Like, is dopamine okay? Yes, it's natural. Is anxiety okay? Yes, is natural. Is depression? I think we all ride lows, and it depends on how you define depression. I think you're going to go clinically depressed. Sure, like it's a whole different world. But to say, hey, where we're at, is it okay? Yes, it's okay. It's built within us to a degree. But is it okay to stay there? No. And one of the greatest verses I think that for me when I'm walking through this, well, I'll give you two. Number one is just being reminded of Matthew 11, where Jesus is like, look, come to me, all of you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Like, we need rest. We need to be reminded of where to go when we're exhausted, because that is what anxiety does to us. That's what depression does to us. That's what, I mean, a lot of our mental, like, I can't think. My brain's not working. Okay, we
just
need
run to him.
Rest. He says, listen, there's still work to do, but my yoke and my burden are lighter than what you're trying to carry. Come to me, because I am truth, right? I am the way. But then it's Philippians 4 for me, right? Like that's where I land.
That's where I just went.
Is just Paul's exhortation and a lot of stuff that we've been talking about. Hey, what am I gonna do? Paul was writing up, he was writing down, he was beaten, he was in jail, he had all of these things coming at him, and like he writes this and
this says, is one of the prison epistles. He's writing this from a prison cell.
Right. And he's telling people this. Rejoice in the Lord always. Again, I say rejoice. Let your reasonableness be known to everyone. The Lord is at hand. Do not be anxious about anything. Way easier said than done. Way easier, written out than practice. But he gives us some good practice.
Recipe for peace.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't just say, don't worry about anything. He tells you what to do.
Yes.
This passage is pointing you away from this thing and to this thing.
Right. Gives you it.
Go ahead.
And he says, listen, he said, do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be known to God.
He says, find a place of gratitude in prayer in place of worry.
Right.
Find your gratitude.
Right.
Go to pray. But when you go to pray, and I think that's the thing too, is I can get stuck in a place of prayer where I'm listing all my things. Help me not to be this.
It's easy to focus on all of it, right?
Not to be. He said, hold on. Find a place of prayer and gratitude.
Yeah.
Right? Go back and count your blessings.
Prayer and supplication.
What are the things that? Never mind. I'm getting ahead. Go ahead.
Look at all the good things, right? Like, hey, come with thankfulness, come with rejoicing, come with praise. Be reminded of who I am.
And then ultimately, there's a reminder that even in the worst of scenarios, there's a reminder if you've lived enough life.
Yeah.
Those things do work for the good, right?
Right.
Somehow.
Again, some of his promises. And then verse 7, he says, why? Why is this important? In the peace of God. The peace that only God can bring. Not that man can bring, not that your phone can bring, not that whatever, outlet. It said in the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding. I love this part. Will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. He says, listen, when you get away and you change, that thankfulness with gratitude, with supplication, that then you can't be anxious because you're looking at all that God has done with you. You're being reminded of who he is, and that his peace, not ours, not the world's peace, but his peace will then come to us. And that surpasses all understanding. And guess what that will do? It will guard our hearts and our minds against all of these things, the lies, the anxieties, the depressions of the day, that we can journey through them and not make them a destination. But then he continues in verse 8 and he says, finally, brothers, he begins to list these things out. Whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any excellence, if there is anything worthy of praise, what? Think. Use your brain. Put these in there. Think about these things.
The NLT says, fix your thoughts. Like you fix it. I think about an archer there. You've got it drawn back, and your whole
locked in
focus is where you know that arrow needs to go to hit the 10, right? To hit the center of the bullseye. Yeah. That's the sight. Fix your thoughts then.
Right.
There's all kinds of things to be thinking. Monkey mind.
Right. All over the place.
All kinds of things to be thinking about. But the reprogramming of how you think is possible.
Yeah. And it's spiritual.
When you have this come up, nope, I'm going to apply this instead. You can't just take stuff away without putting something back.
Right.
He says, fix your thoughts.
And run it through these things, right?
Is it good?
Is it true? Is it the first one, is it true? Right. Most of your thoughts are gonna derail right there.
It's true.
Is it true?
Yeah.
Is it true that you're going to be a bad father? No. Is it true that this thing is going to happen to your kid? No. Is it 100% true? And then it goes honorable, just, pure, lovely, commendable, excellence. If it's worthy of praise, think about these things. And eventually, if it's a thought that is out of control, that is just causing a lot of anxiety, a lot of pain, it's not going to make it through that gauntlet.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not. And then he says, if you do all these things, think about these things, what you have learned and received and heard and seen in me. Paul is saying, look, I'm trying to practice this thing while I'm in jail. Practice these things. Mm-hmm. Put it into play. And the God of peace will be with you.
You go down to verse 12, and he says, I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything.
With everything.
He is saying that it is possible.
Yeah.
That this can be achieved. He says, I know how to live on nothing or with everything. I've learned the secret of living in every situation.
All of it.
From a prison cell, I have learned the secret.
All of it.
Of living in every situation. Whether it is with a full stomach or an empty stomach, with plenty or with little. He says, I can do all things or everything through Christ who gives me strength. That's what he's saying.
It's a beautiful thing.
One
of the most miscontext verses in the Bible.
Because then it causes
I can do all things
I'm 5'8"
through Christ who gives me strength, right?
Much. Can I dunk a basketball?
Through Christ, can do all things. No, man. No. But these verses, Philippians 4, the one that we take most out of context, even that 4:13, is really talking about an internal thing. An internal position against anxiety, against depression, against, letting your mind run low and protecting it and allowing God's peace to be there so we continue to live on mission, continue to live in the light, continue to come to him and him alone in our time of need. And so when we ask the question, is it okay that I experience anxiety and depression?
How is it not? Right?
It has to be.
It's there for your good, I think.
Because if we don't, I think we're just faking it.
Absolutely.
And we're not actually living life.
Right.
But it's about what we do with it. And the Bible is littered with positioning of our mind and where peace is and where tools. Love is and where grace is and tools. I mean, just Philippians 4.
Yeah.
And I think that it's also good to kind of promote memorizing scripture.
Sure.
Because when the thought comes, you need a bullet in the gun.
Yeah.
You need a bullet in the gun.
2 Corinthians
and to meditate
10,
on it.
That's a bullet in the gun.
Right there.
the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, mighty through
Right there.
God to the pulling down of strongholds.
Completely
You've got,
different.
You've got
Yeah.
there's a lot.
Yeah.
So if you want those, you want a list, email Cam. No.
Yeah, listen, I got you.
Info,
I got
info,
you. We've
you
been
can go
there.
info, and we've
We've been there, done that.
Got a good list.
But yeah, I think it's been a great conversation because I think a lot of people
sure.
are talking about it and feeling fearful of it, and we don't have to fear it.
Yeah,
We've got tools. We've got a God that loves us. There's grace. There's peace. All of it that He's ready and willing to give. Some of it is work. Like we can't just make it a destination. Be like, well, I'm just an anxious person. I'm just a depressed person. That's not our identity. That's not your identity in Christ. That He has so much more for us. But we will shoulder it. We will walk through it because it makes us human.
Yes.
So it just reminds us of the good God that we serve and that He's with us all the time.
Yes. So if you do need help, for real, reach out.
Yeah.
You can, you'll find us. Put it in the DMs. We're here for you.
Yeah.
And love you whether you come to Still Creek, whether you don't.
For sure.
We're here.
And we'd love to hear from you. You got questions, you got comments, you got all the things. Wanted to even resources. Put it in the comments, DM us so we can share it with everybody. Appreciate you guys. Episode 7 coming to a close. I feel like there's so much you can say on those topics right now.
Absolutely.
But hopefully that has been helpful. Kind of wrestling through and just finding peace for your own being. So appreciate you guys. Much love. See you next time.
Deuces.
Adios.